AfterBuzz, welcome back to the mid-season finale of Shameless here at AfterBuzz TV. The Gallagher men have their doses of crazy in their women, and of course, Fiona, she returns to the Gallagher household, but she goes down like the Titanic. Stay tuned as we talk.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We will not be back until January 20th, so...
Get your dose in now.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. OD right now on us. We have JJ Jurgens.
Hi, guys.
Juliet Viver.
Hey.
And, of course, Haley Clover.
Hello.
Look at you guys.
Look at you, Phil.
We have Cadet Kelly with Carl. We have therapist Frank. Lip gets together with Tammy, and Kev wants a baby, but then the big storyline of tonight is, of course, Fiona, so we've got all that to talk about, plus some news and gossip. We'll, of course, give our predictions, as well as some of our favorite Fiona moments.
I just thought of something. We're celebrating the mid-season finale by drinking a nice glass of cab, but we could play a little drinking game. Every time we say the word crazy tonight, take a drink if you're 21 and above.
That's right. Or if you're not, take a drink of your soda.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Yeah, you can play along.
Of course. Now, I wanted to know from you guys, what did you think of today's mid-season finale? Did it feel like a mid-season finale, or just a great episode overall?
Yeah, I think it felt like a mid-season finale for me. It closed out some of those storylines that had been, happening since the first episode, and I just felt like it was kind of old Shameless again. I was very nostalgic from this episode. A lot of things felt reminiscent of, earlier seasons, so I enjoyed it.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think you said it all. Just a lot of ups and downs, and I'm excited because they just tease a lot of things that are to come, and tied a lot of storylines with a bow. It was nice.
Yep, I agree. I really liked it. I liked some of the antics. I liked the family dynamic again. I thought it was a great mid-season.
I thought it was 9.5.
Can't wait to talk about
maybe
that.
one extra thrust in there, huh, Phil? So it would have been a 10.
Yeah, it felt, other episodes might have been a little bit jabby, but this one got its full thrust in. So, all right, well, let's talk about Cadet Kelly and Carl. Because I actually like them two together. Out of all the Gallagher men and crazy, Kelly's a little bit crazy, but unlike Cassidy, she is much more beneficial versus psychotic.
Yeah, you know who she reminds me of? A Mindy. She's like his Mindy. Remember how Mindy used to
Mandy.
Mindy. I'm French, guys. But remember how she used to always push Lip, and some people called her crazy. I call her just emotional. Yeah, I think that she's good
that
for
was
him.
a crazy, people.
I'm sorry, drink.
Keep talking, though.
So yeah, so crazy that.
Goddamn.
No, but I really think that this girl is good for him. She's pushing him in the right direction.
She is, and of course they have that moment of hilarity when they're going down the quiz of all the messed up stuff he's gone through.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that scene. I felt bad when I heard that he was going to need to take, like the ACT and all of these tests, and I was like, crap, he's never going to pass. Like, there's no way he's going to get into West Point. And then I was like, no, but there's got to be a way that he can still get into military school. And of course, that was like a great loophole. Because, of course, he's grown up with terrible trauma. Even though I love that he said he loved living on the South Side. And it was awesome here. He's like, yeah, I love this place.
And I like to see that she was all for him. Like, she could have started to be scared away, possibly, by some of the things he kept answering yes to. Oh, yeah. And she was just like, her eyes just lit up.
Yeah,
she was beaming and was like, you got this.
Yeah. He put a rabbit in the microwave, and she was like, yes.
I don't know if that was on the quiz, though.
No.
He threw that one in, and I thought he maybe
went
went too far, but I don't think.
Yeah, I think he's just so different from anything that she's ever known, right? She's from this military family that seems to have a lot of prestige. Her house is pretty big, and he's just so far from it, and I think that really attracts her.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think about their relationship? Because they have that moment where she says, like, I want a boyfriend that goes to West Point, and he's like, I'm your boyfriend?
Ew.
It was cute,
so cute.
because she said ew, and then was like, then smiled, and I was like, oh, young love. I thought it was cute.
Yeah, I mean, I actually don't think there's anything wrong with this relationship. I am all for it. There's no red flags.
Any of the Gallaghers could ever have a normal, whatever that type of relationship is, and normal to society type of relationship. So as long as we can see some benefits of, you know, the two of them challenging each other in good ways, then I think we should be happy.
Yeah, I think normal is just way too boring for them.
Yeah, totally.
Well, let's hope that on that quiz it doesn't say, do you have any psychotic ex-girlfriends?
Yeah.
And
You
just-
get 100 points.
And have you killed? Well, I guess he didn't kill it.
Right.
Maybe. Yeah. We'll see how that kind of develops and whatnot, but he's also taken over Frank's room, and, you know, we're reshuffling things now that Ian is gone, and no one expects Frank to be back. And if he is, they're fine, whatever. But anyway, let's talk about therapist Frank.
I love therapist Frank.
I do too.
I
Is
like
it-
them and Ingrid together.
Is it true, like, the most mentally psychotic people make the best psychiatrists? Because if they can cure themselves, they can cure anybody?
I do feel like of people that I know that have been in marriage counseling and gone through things, a lot like the marriage counselors are all cheaters, or like, you know, aren't good
Like
people.
divorced or
Like
Yeah, they've
I
been
knew
through
one, and she
the-
was a marriage counselor or whatever, and she was having an affair with a married man, you know, like, and it's like, yeah, so I do.
It's like going to a dentist with yellow teeth. Something about that seems just wrong.
Yeah,
But I
or
get
Or like
it.
an
They,
unfit...
they
like-
would understand how you would feel, what you're going through, you know, reasons why you may have done what you did, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I guess they would understand.
An unfit personal trainer is a red flag for me any day.
Yes.
Well, agreed. Totally, it makes no sense.
But as far as this, so I guess let's start with the breaking down of the relationship. Like we'll sort of take it in chunks. He loves crazy, and tobogganing certainly constitutes a crazy. Julia, you got to speak because you're the only one who doesn't have a drink. So every time we're drinking, you got to pick up the conversation.
Or just repeat the word again and again. Just read the show.
Oh,
What
until
happened
I
to your
Can't be
drink?
deliberate.
She has to work after this. So she said she can't have a drink. It's
not very shameless of you.
Responsible.
We already gave her plenty of to drink,
Okay.
so we were shameless enough. But anyway, yeah. Thoughts on the relationship?
I'm really entertained by it. It's definitely not the most healthy as the relationships, but I think it's really great. And honestly, I do see Frank as maybe not a therapist per se, because that requires a lot of schooling, which I don't see him ever pursuing. But I don't know, like a life coach of some sort. Like he has a lot of life experience, and he tells it like it is. And I think that, you know, this poor girl who went into his office, I think she grew from that experience. So it's a win situation.
I honestly agree 100%. I when he was, not to jump further, but when he was talking to Ingrid's ex-husband, I was like, wow, he's a total therapist.
You know why also? It's because he's a master manipulator.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
Okay, but therein lies the problem for me. He's not doing it from the right motive, and he's not doing it from a sense of responsibility to the patient or for the patient.
I don't think
True.
Frank has morals, though. I don't think anything he does is, you know, for the right motive. So I think if he could just find something that he actually could stick with, that would probably be good.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't, you know, the whole point of therapy. Like, even if you are not the world's best person, you still want to act. I would never tell an alcoholic to go drink. You know what I mean? It's like, but I feel like Frank would be like, you know what? Got to live your life. C'est la
Yeah.
vie.
I could see that, for sure. That's a good point.
Yeah, I agree. It's very entertaining to watch. Like, I love the storyline. It's really fun. But yeah, I mean, as a career, I don't think Frank would be.
and if
the
we're
best.
being fully honest, like, do we see any type of career for Frank? Frank doesn't really stick with stuff, really.
No,
So-
Frank's not a career guy. He likes to be free and open.
When Randy tells him that he got 14 stab wounds, does that excite Frank or alarm him? Because she does take the knife at one point to him, and I didn't know how he actually felt about it.
I think he liked it. I mean, he goes back, so he obviously wasn't, you know, freaked out or scared away.
Monica gave him a lot of scars. I think he sees them as kind of like trophies in a way.
Yeah.
Probably like, I can do
Love
that. I can
battle
take that.
Love battle wounds,
Yeah.
exactly, Haley.
Yeah.
Instead of tattoos, he gets stab marks. Oh my goodness.
Or burn marks, you know.
But even, like, are there times, like, she's gone too crazy? Like, is there a line, we have to drink, but is there a line that he draws in the sand whereas it's too much? her being up for, let's say, 48 hours and her doing the books, he's like, hey, why don't you get some sleep?
Yeah, go ahead, JJ.
I think that's what we're gonna see. I think, well, I hope, maybe that's prediction, but I hope we see her taking it to like the ultimate limit, to where finally we do think that maybe this is too much crazy for Frank. You know?
You can't keep saying it deliberately.
Well, I was coming out.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely looked like he was getting a little uncomfortable when, you know, the glass was all over the countertop and in the brie, and she was making him eat that cheese.
Eat the brie.
Eat the brie. Yeah, I would say uncomfortable, but still not scared away. There's still something where he's like okay with it. He doesn't really care.
Go ahead.
I think he cares. I think he's just very like, okay, let's see where this goes. He's so intrigued.
I think the only
almost
thing
excited,
missing was like him being facially scared, but like just, you know, in the past they've shown like his trousers where all of a sudden like he pitches a tent. That was the only thing that was missing.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, I wasn't giving him a boner this time.
Pitches a tent. That's great.
You ever heard that
I've
one?
never heard that, but
Don't worry, it's a very American slang term. But as far as Randy, his relationship with Randy, is it a threatening thing, a jealousy thing? You know, because he gives him this advice, but essentially, like, he's sending him off to Mount Fuji of all places.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally on purpose.
I don't think it's a jealousy thing. I think it's a more, he's not really jealous that he potentially might get with her. He's more so nervous that he's going to make her go down a straight, narrow line. He doesn't really, I think he's fine with sharing her if that ever happens. He's just worried that she's not going to be crazy anymore.
He sends him away so that she cannot sober up.
Exactly.
I think he also wants him out of the picture too, so that he can be the one, you know, instead of him always coming to her,
Dealing with
like,
it, yeah.
so that he's the one kind of saving her, or putting her back straight, or, you know, whatever. Just the one there for her instead of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, kudos to you, Randy, because at least he tried. You know what I mean? He was doing the best he could with what he got. And
Poor Randy. That guy hasn't done anything in years.
no,
He's been stuck just taking care of her forever.
that is true self-sacrifice. And I'm glad he's going to Mount Fuji, but as far as Ingrid's concerned, it's only going to go downhill from here.
Yeah.
Any other things you want to say about the Ingrid relationship before we move on?
No, I just hope we continue to see her more after the, you know, little winter break.
I think she's the new Sheila.
Okay.
Oh, by
Yeah.
the way, I would have loved a Sheila come back. She was my favorite, maybe of all time.
She was
Loved her.
fantastic.
She
So
was.
good.
I think about that a lot, but she had one of the best exits any character on any show I've ever seen, to be honest with you. So it's just topping that's really hard.
That's true. You can't come back after that.
Go check her out in Addams Family Values.
Ooh.
It's a Halloween-esque movie. It's a great movie. I love it. She's in it.
Can I ask one last question before we move on?
Yes.
Were you guys at all surprised that in her drawer so easily in her office she was able to pull out a dildo like that?
You know, it's funny. I didn't actually think about it like that until right now. No, I guess she's probably had some crazy moments before where she just took it in one of those, you know, spells. But, well, yeah, man, way to go, girl. Woo.
And then she switched out.
Yep.
You know, she's
Oh yeah, him
She's all
wearing
about
his
equality.
blazer, that was so funny. That was
She's a giver and a receiver.
yes,
the best
indeed.
kind.
All right. Well, let's next talk about Lip and Tammy. Tammy returns, and first off, they didn't really go into it, but boy, did she ruin this christening. I'd be pissed.
Tammy is insane.
Yeah.
Insane. The fact that they would ever make her the godmother of their child, though, like they're asking for it. So, your fault.
I gotta be honest, I wasn't totally thrilled to see Tammy's return.
Neither was Phil, I don't think.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping she was gone.
But she was giving it, the parents were there right there, and she's like screaming, "Hey, kids, who would like to smoke a cigarette?"
Yeah,
Like,
which
what?
you made a good point. You when we were watching, you said, that's not very realistic. That was one of those moments where I do kind of get taken out of the Shameless world. I'm like, that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, everyone seemed shocked, but no one wanted to deal with it. No one ran after her. That was kind of
Because even the craziest of crazy people that we've seen on the show wouldn't harm children, you know, or they wouldn't purposely harm children. And she's just like, let's go smoke. First one's the hardest, but after that, it's a piece of cake.
I mean, even with the fact that no one reacted and everything else, like, obviously I don't want Tammy with Lip, but at least it was believable. And I, you know, when the Gallaghers like this type of woman, this insanity, see, I use the C word, they go for it, right? And I understand the appeal for a man to essentially be called out sexually and saying like you're not as good as you think, and he's gonna prove that he can get a 10 out of 10. He doesn't,
for sure.
But and so she's controlling his mind through his dick.
Yeah.
Women are good at that. What do you know, what can you say?
I'm just like, am I the only one who's kind of disappointed by this storyline? I feel like they're trying to remix something, and it's just like, I don't know. I just don't find it's too innovating. I feel like we've seen her. She's coming. Like, I don't understand the reasoning behind this.
Yeah,
I
mean,
agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they were a bit pressed for a storyline for Lip, and they just
That's
had
what
to
I
come
think.
up with
What about
something.
you?
Yeah, I agree. That's why I said I wasn't very thrilled about it, because I felt like to let her go after she already kind of called him jabby before, but now to have him. And I also feel like, because for me too, Lip has grown so much as a character that at this point in his life, I mean, I get the ego thing, but I also kind of don't get him like
Wanting.
back falling for that, wanting that, like being, like he was almost a parent to a child, you know, and he's like taking these big mature steps. And I feel like now to just like, I could see him maybe wanting to have sex with her just to like be good and leave her, you know, but like for it to be anything more than just another, like maybe one, I don't see him being interested in her and her attitude.
Exactly. I totally agree with all the growth that we've seen him go through. The Lip today should not, and I don't believe is, attracted to a Tammy. And even, you know, to make a point, I just don't think that is, and he doesn't care about that. It just, this storyline makes no sense to me, and I'm kind of disappointed by it.
Well, the one thing, like last week's episode with Courtney Cox, or Jen Wagner, as she portrayed in at least like there was temptation, but he never took it. So in this regard, what's at least nice is she's never tempted him beyond just teasing of, oh, you're sober at this place, whereas Jen Wagner was like, hey, take this drink with me. If it gets to that point, I think she's gonna.
You say you'd rather see that too? Me too. I would rather have seen him hook up with Jen Wagner, but back
Totally,
when,
100%.
not during the beginning, but when she came back to his house and then she was relating with them more on that level and enjoying that level. Like if there was a storyline where she kind of backed down, I would have liked it better than this
Listen,
one.
I would have too, because at least it was more creative and at least it was new.
Yeah.
This storyline, as like you said, it's been done. We saw it already. Tammy's character is not emotionally for me going anywhere besides being just a kind of ditzy, crazy, you know, off the cuff type of person.
Like we've seen this. We've seen the crazy sexual, does
I
insane
like
stuff.
but we also have seen the older woman. You
Yeah.
know, we've seen Lip's kind of just been around. We've seen a lot with him, so.
But at least Jen Wagner represented this idea of someone who used to be drunk and now she's sober, whereas with the professor, she was older and had problems, but not they weren't
Jen
fully
Wagner's
alone.
not sober though, is she? That's why she needs us.
She's not, but
sobriety
she's going through the experiences no different than him.
Correct.
Yeah.
So and her philosophy on life, you know, flip a coin. Essentially, one day, like Lip could just the next day feel the same way, and so I think that's what the struggle is, and that's why they had that connection.
I mean, once you know, an addict, always an addict, but he seems like he's in a great place to where it's not tempting right now, even when he's around people that are.
Yeah, there was a couple of lines that I would love to explore a little bit further. First off, his sponsor if we're gonna call him that.
Yeah.
He lost his kid. That's not discussed.
No, they didn't talk about it at all. You're so right.
That's pretty big.
They were just kind of like, yeah, dude, we have problems too. I can't deal with that right now.
And apparently everyone thought Brad was gay. That's kind of like a connection moment, but the fact that I was just curious, like, what made everyone think Brad was gay?
See, I think that's my issue that you're talking about on top of it, is that we feel like we keep seeing Lip taking a few steps forward and then several steps back. He's there with his sponsee. What are we calling him? Sponsoree. And he leaves to go with Wackadoodle Job or whatever you want to call her.
Well, he's not a babysitter to the sponsoree, so I understand that aspect of it, but
Yeah. Find yourself a nice, sober young woman. Or you know what? Just freaking be single for a few episodes.
Sure. Yeah.
That could be a possibility.
Could be, but will it be? So, early prediction. I know we're not quite there yet, but
Tease it for later. Tease it for later.
Fine.
No, that would be crazy.
Make up your minds as to whether or not Lip and Tammy continue this god awful relationship that God hates and Satan loves.
Are you done?
Yeah. You can get me another one if you want. Okay, great. All right, so let's talk about a relationship that we've always loved from day one, Keven V.
Yay! Tonight.
They
JJ and I have one brain.
the marriage gets a little tested today
Yeah.
though. Because
Yeah, it was so good though.
And it was real. Like,
Yeah.
it's a real argument. I mean, a real moment.
No, it is. It's a real argument. It's a real conversation. For sure. People I babysit had that exact same conversation and then ended up getting pregnant after a night of drinking. You know? Yeah. And of course they're happy now. But that is a real conversation.
well, first off, I love Kev's take on it. Like, he's just so the memory. What I appreciate about the storytelling, the bear, right? It's one thing to have a bear that speaks, but when it plays his voice and Dada and the twins, it's such a Kev moment of him lighting up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kev doesn't, based on his line of saying, all you have to do is be inconvenienced for 9 months. He doesn't understand the toll that it takes on a woman's body, emotionally, physically, just everything. So for him to just say, yeah, I want a kid and I'll do everything. That's like when a little kid wants a dog. I promise I'll do everything. That never happens.
Well, and V had such a hard time after the twins were born too, of not wanting to be a mom,
She had
wanting to have anything to
postpartum, right?
yeah. So I'm sure she's nervous too about putting herself. Now she's in a good place with all of them. The family's good. Like, she probably doesn't want to have that depression again, or maybe not know if she has
That's
difficulty.
a very good point.
Yeah, it's a great. And then again, the financial aspect.
Yeah.
We still haven't broken this storyline as well. Their twins are pretending to be one person, so they can't because they can't
Yeah.
afford school.
Right.
Kids are not cheap, and that's what she was mentioning.
Well, so that was the only thing about this storyline moving forward that's going to be tough is adoption is so expensive. So if you can't afford daycare, how are you going to afford a $25,000-$30,000 adoption?
Yeah, I don't think.
Unless they take one of Charlotte, is that her name? She's got like 6 kids and twins on the way. Maybe she'll just give them a baby.
Perhaps. Charlemagne. I don't know.
I feel like
It's
that's
just-
much more like Shameless because
Yeah.
they cannot financially afford
Yeah,
to adopt. So somebody's going to just have to gift them a baby.
Exactly. And I don't foresee it being a newborn. As she said, like, it's going to be a newborn. I think it's going to be maybe like a foster situation as we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
Which we really enjoyed. That was like the first time really fought, like, have with a child in a way in the
Right.
first few seasons. I would like to see that.
Well, I have 2 thoughts, and you guys are welcome to comment on either. Number one, I do appreciate that V was open to the idea of adoption. She's like, I'm not putting my body through this, but this is a compromise. And 2, as far as Kev's concerned, I feel like as much as he wants a baby, you still have, they're 4 years old, they still have plenty of years to be raised. Raise them. Spend time with them, educate them, do what you got to do. Like, they're not self-sufficient. They're not like, I understand the Gallaghers when they turn 4, but that's not a model.
Yeah.
I agree. I think Kev should get the kids a puppy. I think they're ready for a puppy. He can get that attachment. He can take care, something to take care of.
I see
Everybody's
that.
happy.
You know what I have a huge problem with? Kev has another freaking. He has a son. We never talk about that.
With someone else?
With V's mom.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Right. But he wants a newborn anyway.
I know, but how come that never comes up? We never see this child.
Because didn't they have like an arrangement and an agreement that
he would take
was
care
not-
of, and he would visit every once in a while.
Oh.
And that doesn't, like, they introduced the storyline years ago.
Right.
And I just don't, they just like forgot about it. That's why this doesn't connect with me.
Yeah, I didn't think about it. I don't know why I thought that like arrangement a while ago was he wasn't going to be involved. Like, he was just helping her to get pregnant. But yeah.
No, because it all started because they want a kid, they couldn't get a kid, they couldn't afford surrogacy and all that.
Right.
So they went through them getting the mom banged up instead. Then V got pregnant at the same time, and then all of a sudden they had 3 kids, which was nerve-wracking. And then finally the mom was just too sad to get rid of the kid, so they decided this kid will live with you. We'll keep the 2 kids, and we'll help all together. We saw that for a few episodes, and then it disappeared. Now he wants a new kid, and we forget to mention this storyline.
Yeah.
And yet we're recycling old storylines. I don't know. Shameless is doing something to me, you guys.
All right, here's a shameless quote. Okay, this is from a junkie that I got to know. Listen, living in Boston, you sometimes learn things. So this is the quote from the junkie.
Okay.
A man's job is to impregnate a woman. And by those terms, that's what Kev's trying to do. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. That's what Dave the junkie would say.
The man's job. Biologically, I guess that would be true.
And Dave would know. Let me tell you, Dave's got 11 kids.
Oh. Dave is Frank.
Dave is Frank.
Dave sounds just like Frank.
But in other news, in actual beneficial news, all of our after shows are on Spotify. So for those of you, obviously you guys are listening, but now you guys, if for some reason it makes it easier for you to listen on Spotify, that option is now available. However, what I'd encourage you to do is for those people, the friends in your circle that love Shameless and other TV shows but haven't yet tuned into AfterBuzz because they're like, it's a little inconvenient, well, now tell them we're on Spotify because that's a little bit more convenient for them. So YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever podcasts are, and Spotify. So there you go. That's where we are. Speaking of where things are, let's check in on good old Fiona, where she is.
In the dumps.
I really liked her character this episode.
I
though.
did
You got to
too.
see some of Emmy Rossum's awesome acting skills today.
We did, but it kind of 2 things were happening. It was a mature Fiona, but then it was also simultaneously a very immature, wounded Fiona from years past.
Drunk. Yeah.
And I've never liked that side of her. Like, I want the best for Fiona, but I thought today would be a little bit different, and by the end, it kind of wasn't.
I think I love too that again for me this was a very real moment, like real what happens when sometimes things are going along so great in your life and then you get knocked down again and you instantly can fall back into that depressed moment and stuff. There's an article too I was going to say for the news, but the showrunner again, John Wells, talks about he wanted the storyline because he said this happens a lot to people, actually at all financial levels, but especially in where they are, where they finally start to get ahead, and that they think so they have that momentum and they're feeling that rush and making things go along, and then unfortunately kind of bite off more than they chew, and then it falls right back down. So that's kind of why the trap of not getting out of that cycle. Yeah. So he wanted to portray that.
I've been thinking a lot about Fiona this past week, thinking just like, why did she ever do this deal? She just put everything in there, and it's not responsible of her. And then I had a thought. She obviously comes from a really poor upbringing, with not a lot of support. And I think that's kind of your world, and you don't have much to lose. Ever, because you don't have anything, so why would you have something to lose if you don't have anything? I think that's what urged her to just gamble it all, because that stays with you.
I mean, I think in the beginning she was desperate to do something to change her life. So we obviously see her buy the laundromat, and then that goes well. So of course she's like, well, why would I not try to do something else? Patsy's. That goes well. Of course, all of a sudden she's like, oh, this is, hard work, but easier than I thought it was going to be. Why wouldn't I continue to go? The apartment building works out. She's never going to stop until something like this happens that makes her realize that there's a lot more to this business than she actually understood, which she didn't understand and wouldn't have until, unfortunately, she had a learning lesson.
I agree, but when she went into those things, she did her due diligence, and yes, there was a sense of optimism there, and she was partly blinded by that, but she went into it under this fear, and yes, I want to achieve something through this, but I've done the homework. And with this, she just kind of looked at one example, and I don't believe she did the same homework that she's done in the past.
She got a little lazy.
Yeah, she got that I got this mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she was riding the high because those things all did work, and then she
Right.
now thought she was in a successful relationship as well and feeling confident in that. And yeah, didn't research as much.
Yeah, and I think that the arrogancy also of her partner just kind of urged her more because he was very like, you can't do this, you don't, you know, and she wanted to be a big fish. So,
Right.
but now she's drowning, as
Well,
he
but-
said.
She's drowning. Yes, that's fine. But he does, all things considered, it's one thing, and I appreciate that they put the storyline here, but the reset button is hit, and she still walks away pretty decently.
Fairly unscathed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like her life is completely ruined. Yes, she owes interest on the $25,000, but as he says, your credit's not going to be dinged, and you still have this partnership.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. She still has patsies. It's not like she doesn't have anything going for her.
Yeah, and so that's where I didn't appreciate Fiona all of a sudden sulking as if
Yeah.
all woos me.
I totally agree with you on that one. I thought fine to do it before, you know, she's crushed or whatever, you know, we all have, you have those moments. But yeah, I thought after she got that break, I thought we'd see her starting to.
I think
To
now she's just
rebuild.
processing Ford still.
Yeah.
I think she's more upset about that almost than she is
Yeah.
Yeah.
about some of this other stuff.
But Phil,
True.
life is
Life is what?
90% what happens to you?
Oh, you trying to pull the quote out of me? I didn't say this quote, but
10% how you handle it. What is
yeah,
it?
10%, 90% how you 90% of life is how you handle, and 10% is what actually happens to you. So it's a little bit reversed.
Got it.
We got to mix them.
Yeah.
But that's the sentiment
Yes,
there.
you're in control of all of your emotions, reactions.
And I did appreciate like Deb's coming in there and being this sort of spark to get it all going. Like, okay, we're gonna take the metal apart and we're gonna put the car as stolen. Great, that solved problem number one.
Yeah, she's my MVP for today.
She was hilarious today.
I mean, this was just fantastic.
I really enjoyed her, just kind of like the role shift in a way that she was going to take care of certain situations, and she was more so the grown up in a way. You know, Fiona has taken care of her messes for so many years. It was really nice to see that shift, but it was also great that it wasn't. Didn't go too far with the storyline where she could have been complete a Miss Adult Lady. She was still, I mean, it was amazing the whole Ford thing, but it was kind of like a childish move.
Well, what did you
Fiona
guys
wanted to pull
think
that off.
that she was making before they actually showed us at the end? What was in your head? What did you think that they were welding or creating?
It was supposed to be some 6-foot sign. Yeah, I have no clue. I
Yeah, she
thought it
kept
was.
saying 6-foot
Yeah.
platform, but I kept thinking it was going to be some type of like billboard or something.
See?
I thought it was going to sign that kind of said.
Oh, but it
said
was
that
so
out.
much
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, I didn't expect him to be up there.
Ass first.
Yeah.
I mean, how they got him there, I'm not even questioning, but that was a great moment. I felt for Fiona, you know what? Shoot his ass with the paintball
I was
gun.
picking the paintball gun also out of all those choices. I mean, I love the Katniss Everdeen reference. That made me
Yeah.
laugh for sure, but I was like, yes, pick the paintball gun. That seemed the most...
It's the best because he's like it's the humiliation. He has the stains, and also those things are gonna leave bruises.
Oh, 100%.
And he was such an art fan, right? Like, you're
Yeah. Some color.
For sure, but and I'm glad. Like that was a great build up to the final moments. But then unfortunately they underscored it with what came right after, and she's drinking by herself, and just the way the rest of the Gallaghers are sort of concerned, watching on the porch for her. I don't think this is it for Fiona, and I'm saddened by this because I feel like she's more mature and moved on from this.
One alcoholic is enough in the Gallagher family. I don't need to see another one.
Yeah, this was a real Frank moment. This is what she wasn't drinking by herself. You know, maybe you've had a bad day. She was screaming at neighbors and telling them to F off. She was in the middle of the lawn. This is not just some glass of wine too many. You know,
Yeah,
This
And
is
drinking the
serious.
booze in the aisle at the grocery store.
And that she was a mermaid. How about her trying to take that giant thing of meat with the plastic
Yeah.
on and shove it in her outfit?
Again, it's one of those things, like, she could have done all those things from a sense of joy of, like, holy crap, I just won the lottery. Like, all when I started today, everything was going against me, and the fact that I walked away fairly unscathed,
Right.
yay me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get drunk and just ride this wave.
Which
is
is because it's not
yeah.
totally a success, it's a complete failure.
Yep. I think also the dog not following her took a toll on her. She doesn't feel malted.
Oh my god,
couldn't
that
believe
killed
that poor
me.
dog.
Don't
Me
leave
too.
that thing. What? You've been through so much together.
Yeah.
Well, not even that. What
You
the hell's gonna
ate
happen with
that
the
woman.
dog?
Yeah.
That dog ate
Give
a
it to
person.
Kev. Give it to Kev.
Is everyone forgetting that? Dog
Well,
ate a
that's-
human being. It's
I
a
mean-
special talk. I
It's
can't
the-
leave it there.
Yeah.
It's that. Yeah. I think she needs to go back for the dog.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I wasn't proud of her in that moment.
And I get that she feels this sense of defeat that she's back at the Gallagher household, but stop.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be. It's okay. Things are different.
Carl, I don't think he's gonna get his room. It's leading me to believe that
Well, he's going to West Point. Who cares?
Yeah, agreed.
Also, a great little moment from Ian leaving that clock. Miss me yet?
Oh, that was good.
That was a good little
It's
moment.
really good.
Any stray observations before we talk about our favorite Fiona moments from all seasons?
I just have a question about what we thought about Debbie knocking on her ex-girlfriend's door.
I was
Bringing
fine
her
with
in
it.
it.
I think she likes her welding skills.
Okay.
Man, I think they
she
can
really
remain
just needed
friends.
her for that project, yeah.
I think there's nothing wrong with them being friends, and they could be friends. Like, that's
Yeah, I mean, I think
Healthy.
Debbie learned what she, liked and didn't like, and that was kind of just a...
Just that. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
indeed. All right, so why don't we each pick a favorite Fiona moment?
You're saying,
It's like putting me on the spot. I think there's so many.
out of any episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, good or bad.
Oh, God.
Would you like me to start?
Yeah.
All right.
Can I go all the way back to
So
Jimmy Steve?
you could.
Oh, anything with Jimmy Steve and
Yeah,
her.
I know. Dude, and I like
This is not a happy moment, but as far as like one of the more powerful moments ever, Fiona, after she left crack with Liam, that
Oh, yeah.
story arc in itself was such a
when he got into the cocaine?
yeah.
Yeah.
That was such a powerful story arc
Yeah.
for a number of reasons, and that was Fiona at her best because she knew through no fault of her own, but she didn't mean to. She wasn't being neglectful. She made this mistake, and the fact that like the kids were going over to Frank and she couldn't do anything about it. She really truly wanted to do what was best for them, and unfortunately things were against her.
Yeah, I don't know if this is necessarily my favorite, but another like really powerful one that always sticks out is her wedding day.
Yeah.
And actually finally
Yeah.
seeing her in a wedding dress, because I just don't think you ever expected to see her in a wedding dress. And so many people had helped her and gotten that ready, and she looked beautiful, and you honestly thought that she was about to get a happy ending, and then she didn't, and that was really powerful.
And leave it to Frank to tell her the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Juliet,
I have two. I think
cheater.
okay, fine. I have one. My favorite moment would be when Kev's ex comes back and claims that she has a child with him, and Fiona just goes down the street and yells at him and says, basically, just like, get your shit together. You guys are Kevin V. If you can't make it, there's no hope for all of us.
Right.
Just, she just really screams at him and puts him in the right place. And it's such a moment where you're crying because everything she's saying is so sad. And because you're like, no, I want you to have love too, Fiona. And at the same time, you're like, what an amazing friend, just sticking up for her family in that sense. So
Yeah.
that has to be mine.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't know this was happening tonight. There's so many.
I didn't either.
What do you mean? You came up with it.
I know, but based on seeing the episode.
JJ, we've all come up with one. There's no
I love. Stop it. You guys all went first too, by the way. I think there were so many moments. I'm trying to think of a specific one, but I remember loving a lot of scenes with her and Monica, just because they were so intense, and the rival of those two, like, supposed to be the head of the families, and I just thought there was some great acting in those scenes.
Or how about when she takes the kids on as their actual guardian?
Yeah.
That was an awesome scene.
When Frank does something yet again, and she's like, don't ever mess with my kids. And he's like, what do you mean your kids? And then she just, that look that she gives him, like, freaking A, those are my kids.
Well, before we head on into news and gossip, I'll give everyone, us as hosts, but also you at home, obviously, by the end of the full season finale, we will be talking about Fiona because that'll have been her last episode. So, in anticipation of that, let's pick our favorite moments for that episode. So that gives you plenty of time. You can't say nothing now.
Okay.
So, all right, but without further ado, let's get into some news and gossip.
I got some of that for you.
Yay. Oh, I've been looking at this picture.
Okay, cute picture alert. So Jeremy Allen White had his little bambino, and she was born yesterday. So that is the little picture.
She is tiny.
cute,
He's holding
right?
her in the, for like iTunes listener, he's holding her in the hospital with, chest to chest, and she has a lot of hair for a
Yeah,
newborn.
she
She does. She's
So
we
cute.
can't see her face, just her body.
Which
in
is
the
good.
back of her head,
Don't show that.
I know,
Yeah.
but man, she looks cute.
Yeah, and he looks so happy.
looks
He just
like
looks
a good
in love.
dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that look of just pure love.
Yeah.
I want a
great.
baby.
Uh-oh.
I do. Probably for
Stop with the wine today.
gonna
Stop
move
with the wine. You're going to get impregnated.
All right, any other news?
I love it. I love it.
That'll be our New Year's gossip.
All right.
Hey!
Let's get into some-
I do have one more story. One more thing. I didn't fully read it, but there's a great article in the Hollywood Reporter tonight that just came out, where John Wells talks about kind of what's going to come up in the last 9 episodes. So that's a good thing for you guys to check out while we have a little time here and you're missing your Shameless fix. But he talks about he'd wanted to do this story with Emmy before she even had decided she was leaving because he wanted to tell the story about the struggles. So he's really looking forward to it and developing it. And he thinks that the N9 will be a lot about how she either goes up or down from this. But there's a lot more in that article, so it's a really interesting one. So check that one out in the Hollywood Reporter.
All right. Well, this is a good sort of tie-in. So this is our last episode, certainly of this year. But we will be back. We are going into High Beer Nation until January 20th. So let's give our predictions of what will come in the second part of the season.
Now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I really want to see Keven V sort of deal with the aftermath of the kindergarten stuff. Like at a certain point, someone's gonna have to someone's gonna have to figure this out. But as far as that, Lip has always been a strong character, so I'm interested to see him move along. And Fiona, I really want the best for her. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I was going to say something about Fiona. I'm really interested to see what you guys think, so comment along with us on YouTube, because I honestly can't decide how they're going to end this with Fiona. I can't. This is maybe effed up of me, but I just want a super dramatic ending, whether it's really happy or really sad, because I think I need that to still be totally invested in the show once she's gone. I just need that Shameless crying moment that we've had in seasons past.
I
And so
want
just
ultimately
think something
happy.
really big is going to happen with her.
I think it's going to be very, very sad until the very end, and it's going to be euphoric. And
I'm okay with that as long as it's,
something.
totally, euphoric.
Yeah, I agree. I unfortunately foresee Fiona having drug issues and alcohol, as we saw tonight. She's taking pills because of her wrist, but definitely taking too many pills, definitely drinking on pills, which is not recommended. And she thinks that she's a mermaid. So I don't see this,
She's a beautiful mermaid.
turning out so good. Yeah.
JJ.
Yeah, I definitely think she's gonna go really down before she comes up. But I do think it's gonna end on a happy note with her. I do. I think Keven V. I think we might get the baby before the end of this year.
All right.
Maybe.
Speaking of which, I loved how he was breaking the news to her as if it was almost role reversal where he was the one pregnant.
Right, with the
Yeah.
sock.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey.
Yeah.
Our future child.
I also wanted to say I think we're gonna see Frank in his most dangerous situation ever of Shameless with Ingrid. I think something's gonna get scare him finally.
Do we see her moving into the Gallagher home?
No, they're gonna kick her out. and plus,
because
she's got a
Frank-
home.
She's got a
nice home, and
duplex.
he would wanna go there.
Yeah, for sure.
All
Probably
right.
live in the other duplex while he sent
exactly.
the other guy out.
Thank you guys for joining us. This has been our mid-season finale. We will see you back January 20th of 2019. So happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year!
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah.
Oh my God. All the feels. So many holidays. So much drinking. So much crazy.
Crazy.
At JJ Jurgens.
At JJ Jurgens. Bye.
At Bonjour Juliet.
At Haley Clover.
And I'm at Phil Svitek. And we're, of course, at AfterBuzz TV. See you January 20th.
Thanks, guys.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.